Everyone, welcome back to Box with Lizzie. Today I have the pleasure to interview Samuel Watson, who is the current world record holder for speed climbing. He also competed in 2024 Paris Olympics for Team USA and won bronze. So hi, how you doing? How's it going?
Doing great. Happy to be here.
We're happy to have you here. So I want to get off with some personal sort of backstory questions, sort of get really into deep into your life because I'm very nosy, as you probably know. So I want to know, how did you first get into rock climbing?
So I first got into rock climbing because I sort of was a vertically inclined child, meaning I liked to climb walls and onto the roof and fences of the like. And I found climbing to just be a very fun sport because you're sort of doing this unique skill that is entirely individualized. So it's not like a team sport or you're not trying to stop someone else from doing something, but you're just trying to climb at your best and to get better at technique. And I found both physically and mentally that was a very fun sport for me to play.
It sounds very fun. Unfortunately, I was not much of a vertical child because I kept falling, so I could not be a rock climber. I've tried. But what was your biggest motivation in your rock climbing journey? Did you have like a specific athlete you looked up to or your parents?
Not really, no. I think as no individual athlete, I would say there's definitely a lot of athletes I do look up to, but no individual that I was sort of like mirroring my career off of. I think I try to be pretty unique in that sense, like pretty one of one as becoming a new athlete, especially as the sport developed, because people throughout the history of other sports, like if you look at like LeBron and Jordan in basketball, there was sort of like, you wear number 23, you're in the footsteps of someone previously. With climbing such a new sport, and particularly speed, like that's not really a thing at all. Like the sport's so new and so growing that for the most part it's just the current athletes on the scene.
Well, following up on that question, do you have a role model?
Do I have a role model? Definitely a couple role models in different aspects of my life and what I want to
Mhm.
do. Like the people who I find are like um very virtuous and very good at expressing themselves in certain ways, and then good competitors, things like that. So I think my mom definitely is a great role model in a way of like
Aw.
treating people well and giving good support. If you go to athletes, I think Yanya is definitely there for as a climber. Yanya Gambrit, Slovenian two-time Olympic gold medalist in climbing, was just an incredible competitor, and it's good to get to know her and her process as well. So I would definitely say like for aspects, you can definitely look up people in some way, but no specific one person for everything.
I think it's very sweet that you mentioned your mom as the first like role model. That was actually adorable. So I want to know a little bit more about the behind the scenes of the sport. So how does a day of training work? Like what exercise do you work on? And specifically, what's your favorite and least favorite part? Because that's like always so fun to listen to. I don't
So
know.
day to day, I probably train about 4 days a week on the wall, and then about 3 days a week in the gym, and then generally a lot of supplemental recovery, cardio slash steady state sessions. So just like getting on the bike, it's pretty easy a couple times a week as well. And yeah, the thing is, as an athlete, you never really clock out. So everything you do is kind of related to the same thing of being a better athlete. And so that's like your sleep and your nutrition, all that. So it's a lot of like global investment across a week. But so I think that kind of ties back into the least favorite thing is you never really get truly like a good break out on a weekend. Like that's not really a thing athletes can do. Um, I try to like say like I'm going to take a Saturday off and not be invested as much in what I have to do, but I almost always have some sort of obligation or something
Mhm.
to do. And I still can have that personal productivity pressure of like, well, I want to get this done or script out this video or reach out or whatever it may be that's not directly related to my career. So I'd say that's the least favorite part is just like there's no intertwined or sort of systematic balance like there is for a 9 to 5 job where you're only doing it 40 hours a week. That's just not the case at all for being an athlete. My favorite part is definitely like it's such a creative endeavor in a way
Of course.
where you can make up your own stuff and get in to the gym and you're the one that's in charge of basically all of the output of what you're doing. Like there's no product without you in terms of what you're creating. So I think that's a really cool part about it.
It's a very interesting answer. It sort of makes sense that there would be no time where you can fully rest because at the end of the day, you're always thinking about that sport. I know that happens the same with me, and I'm not even a sports person. Well, I am, but in a different way. So I want to know, do you have any specific things you do before competing? Because I know some athletes are incredibly superstitious. Do you have like a sort of routine or like ritual you do? Because I've seen this with hockey players, so I'm like wondering.
So I'll kick the wall before I go to climb, and it for me sort of
All right.
reinforces the fact that like I now have control over this time, no matter where I am, no matter if I'm at practice or a competition or at the Olympics, even like it reinforces to me that it's now in my sort of domain. So I
Yeah,
have that. It's been kind of a I don't really need it anymore, like for the psychological reason, but now it's like something just I do. It's part of the brand, and so like
of
if I
course, of
do
course.
bad, I'll get made fun of by the commentary, like, "Oh, you didn't kick the wall. That's why you didn't." And I was like,
Talk is kicking the wall. So
mm-hmm.
speaking of the Olympics, I want to ask some more questions about that because obviously that is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Well, not really once in a lifetime, but it's an important opportunity, especially because you were 18, I believe, when you went.
Yes.
That is incredibly impressive. So how did you get the news that you were first going to be competing in Paris? And how, like, who was the first person that you told?
So it was first announced the qualification pathway
Mhm.
in, I want to say like early 2022, maybe February or March of 2022.
Oh, wow.
And
That's a bit
so
before that. I wouldn't
I
have.
had looked at the different ways to qualify. So one of which was going to be the first opportunity would be in August of 2023. That was the Burn World Championships. The top two places would qualify. And then there were the Continental Championships that were going to be the Pan American, European, African, Oceanic, and Asian champions. So the all of those winners of those events would get a spot in the Paris Olympics, and then there would be a to be determined qualifier series in 2024. And so I had sort of decided like, okay, if I want to do well at the Olympics, I really don't want to qualify only like 2 months before the games. Like I'd
Yeah, of
rather not.
course. Like you need to be focused, training, locked in.
Correct. And also there's that kind of like mental aspect of things of like I'd rather be there, but also physiologically, the way you design a training cycle around a specific event when you have 9 months before then is a lot easier than trying to say, okay, I'm gonna like be in really good shape because I have to qualify at 7 months and then I have to compete even better in 9 months.
Yeah.
Like it's quite difficult to do that exact process. Um, so I would say I had set the goal of I want to qualify at the World Championships, and basically to make a long story short, I just bombed the World Championships. I think I did the worst I've ever done in my career, and I had 2 months between then and then the Pan American Games to secure the next option at getting a ticket, and I was seen as sort of an overwhelming favorite for the among the Pan Americans, not by like there were still a lot of good athletes, but I think the expectation was definitely still there that I could and would win that event. And it was a lot of stress and pressure, which ended up being a very good learning experience going into Paris. Like going into the fact that like having sort of feeling like you're the center of everything in all your relationships, of everyone's not that you are the center of the everything, but that this event and the idea of going to the Olympics is the center of everything, which is a very important distinction. And it was just a lot of stress, a lot of pressure for getting there, and I was able to do it, not perfectly, but I won the event. I got my ticket, and that was in October of 23. So it definitely wasn't a like a news I got. It was a very deliberate year and a half plus process of trying to get to the Olympics.
Well, it's still an experience. I'm sure it's definitely challenging. So, did you have to go like any specific training that's different from usual specifically for the Olympics, or did you just train as usual? I'm really making
Um,
you dig back into your mind here.
So the Olympics is a different format than what I usually would do in a competition for the World Climbing Series, but it's not that different. So basically, they just have the qualifications split into 2 rounds. So there's two qualification laps, then an elimination heat, and then the finals.
Mhm.
And so that was a bit different, but like the goal I had was like I might have a chance to win the Olympics. And this is when I qualified in 23. I was like, I'll be up there, but in order for me to win, I'm going to need to have 3 laps in a row at pretty much 100% capacity. Like I'm not going to be there's not going to be a gap like there was at Pan Americans where I was like I can still make some mistakes and still win. Like I was going to have to be competing against the best in the world at max speed essentially. And so it was kind of training around that, and then it kind of when you train for performance deliberately, you're thinking in your head, okay, I'm going to go against this person and I'm simulating that pressure. And I've always been pretty good at that. Like I've never been like under the like falling into the trap of like, oh, I feel super terrible or mentally distraught. But so there was some specific training. I definitely got better at training. That was the point. Like I had by all means given it like my full-time job and I was giving it 100%. So that kind of scaled up. My off the wall training and gym work got a lot better as well. And like everything just sort of kept building on each other with this goal of having the Olympics that made everything a lot easier in the sense of you just have motivation.
Of course. And the Olympics is like, it's the Olympics. Like I can imagine all the pressure and stress. I know I would be like, nah, I wouldn't be able to do it. But specifically talking about feelings, how did you feel the morning that you were supposed to compete?
So
Apart from nervous, because I feel like
for
that's a
my entire life, I've had insomnia. Like I have latent insomnia, meaning like it's hard for me to go to bed.
Mhm.
And I've maybe not had insomnia like 20, 30 days in my entire life where I
Oh
like would
wow.
just fall asleep on time. And 2 of those days were before the qualifiers and before the finals of the Olympics. Um, I had a specific joke that I had saved. Like I thought of a personal like joke. It's not the most appropriate thing. It's stupid. It's a D's nuts joke.
Oh,
But my S&C coach and is the manager of the team as well. He was at the Olympics. British dude. Like definitely in the sphere of like, you got the little bit of that British like this Texan doesn't have the classical education. And so I had an idea and I thought about it at the Olympics and I was saving this because the Olympics has the Greek origin, born in Athens, and I had the idea of I'm going to set them up for D's nuts joke, and the way that the way that D's nuts jokes work is you get them to say something and then you say blank D's nuts are in your face, right? That's the premise of the joke. It's like the most middle school thing in the world, but
the most interesting thing that has ever been said on my podcast, truly.
it, it makes sense. And so I had thought of this joke because I'm like, it was a deep psychological battle because I was like, this man does not think I could tell you who the Greek gods of Olympus are. And I go, hey Matt, you can get so the Olympics has pins. These are my pin board, right? And you can get various pins related to different countries, and like some sponsors do it. And I was like, at the um at the Samsung booth, you can collect all the Greek gods. I got a really cool one of like the one Greek god from the underworld, like the guy that has like the blue hair in the Disney one.
80s.
He's like Hades, and I was like Hades nuts are in your face, and it was kind of beautiful. It was kind of
But oh
beautiful.
my gosh, to be
It
a
was
fly on
on
the wall in that moment,
it was on the
truly.
bus, and everyone was very serious, and you had the Chinese and the I think who else was in the final, Kazakhstan, Italy, France, all in the finals, just kind of heads down, headphones on, and you just hear this loud American bust out laughing because he just set up his like coach. He was like a 20 year old 20 years older than him, British dude with D's nuts joke. And so that was my Olympic final preparation. I kept that one in the bag since I first got to the village,
That's
and
amazing,
I slept great.
truly.
Yeah. So
How many
that was
people know this story?
this is definitely the first time I've said it publicly. I think I gave it a
Oh,
little
oh my
more of a
gosh. I
moratorium.
love this.
Yeah.
It feels so
Yeah.
special.
I think that yeah, I think that is. I thought about saying it at the press conference, but I decided that would be not the greatest idea.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine saying this at a press conference?
I did imagine saying it, and that's why I did it.
Okay, so what else is going through your head when you were competing, apart from the
More or
aftermath
less,
of this joke?
like as an athlete and as a process, like at that point you have so much confidence and you've put in 9 months of not only like it's your job but it's your life commitment of knowing that you can be prepared for this day. And so I had good confidence. Like I would honestly not even describe it as much of nerves, if that makes sense. Like I had sort of just already done what I needed to do and it was already going to be a platform. I wasn't like assured that I was going to win because I had a level of like respect for my opponents of like it's not going to be easy. Like it's going to be my best performance if I'm going to
And
win
you
this
were
event
also like younger than
at
everyone.
this level. Yeah, and I mean that wasn't as much of a part of it.
Well,
I think like I've never used the excuse of like in the moment of I'm too young to like do something and I should give myself some leeway. In retrospect, I do. Maybe now I can say like, man, if the Olympics were now, right, I'd have such a better chance of like I've gained so much maturity and so
mhm.
many things have happened that's like it makes sense. Or even speaking about that for 28. But yeah, I would say that that was not as much of a part of it, but I had great respect for both my or like all the competitors and all the races I was going to be paired up in that day. And I was like, I know it's not going to be easy.
Well, another question is how has the Olympics changed you as a person?
As a
Very,
person,
very deep question.
has nothing to do with being an athlete, but I would say like buying into the idea of the Olympic movement and the idea of like creating better connections through sport and using that as a platform has something I've really bought into and really want to keep going even past my athletic career. So knowing what kind of impact I can make of high performers in general and people that can be entertaining as well, like people like me, where you can watch their stories, you can watch them do these feats and inherently kind of have the value case of they can be inspirational and they can bridge people together. They can kind of show off like it doesn't really matter, even politics, borders, personal lives, backgrounds, like you can still enjoy watching sports, playing in sports. And I think I've tried to buy into that more. And that's something that the Olympics has really espoused as a goal. Imperfectly, I will say imperfectly, but it is something that I look to embody more.
So, do you have any other goals for yourself? Apart
Yeah,
from,
I'd like
you
to win
know,
an Olympics. I'd like to do that. I'd like to
I believe you. I believe in
win
you.
another world climbing series for sure. I won it in 24, but it was like the half Olympic season, so like a lot of the full athletes didn't go, and there were some less competitions that counted towards the series. And then I got second place last year. I kind of like had some unfortunate things happened. One event I got disqualified because I false started, which was brutal for the score because otherwise I would have won the series. And then I sort of got one event got rained out, and so I didn't get to fully compete in the finals. And another event, I just kind of sold it. Like I just kind of did very poorly in a race and would have won it. So I felt disappointed that I didn't get that I didn't win it as I think the World Climbing Series, in my perspective, as a climber, is actually like probably the coolest feat. Like that shows off how good of a climber you are because
I mean,
like
yeah, I've seen the videos. You're incredibly fast. I don't even know how you do it.
yeah, but
I
it's
think you're
becoming such a
not
low
human.
margin of error sport. Like if you think about it, like is golf, right?
Hmm.
No one's gonna have a perfect day every day. Like you can't win every single
Oh, yeah, of
competition.
course.
You can be good, but you can't. It's not like a pure luck, but like it does involve like you can have a low win rate and still be really really good. And that's why I said like the Olympics is its own thing, but like the idea of winning one event is not as big to me as embodying who's the best athlete among people who understand athletes is or what athletes are in the sport. I would say like the World Climbing Series is the top title.
Well, thank you so much. But unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today, even though I would love to interview you for at least like 4 hours. I love interviewing. But Samuel, thank you so much for taking the time to feature on the podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. And of course, there will be an area for you to follow Samuel on Instagram down below. Don't forget to check out Box with Lizzie on Substack, TikTok, and Instagram for more sports content. And I hope you have a lovely day or night wherever you're listening from, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Thank you.